anything that you believe about hair loss is true in your mind. That is a quote by Nick Shell, the head honcho of hair loss. I'm actually quoting myself in a comment on a video. That was my response to someone who had said, quote, minoxidil and finasteride is the only option. And I agree with that person. If that's what they believe, that that's the only option, then they're right. You know, that's the thing. And of course, I'm responding to a video I recently made called The First Thing You Should Do If You Think Your Hairline is Receding. But hopefully you have noticed the change since the reboot. I'm taking on sort of a new approach to people watching my channel and leaving comments. And I am no longer here to offer tough love to anyone. I'm here to agree with everyone. Everyone is right. Can you imagine that concept? Everyone who watches my channel and leaves a comment is right. That's the way I perceive it. I think it's important that I carry on that vision for this channel. You know, people who will say, if you're Norwood 5 and age 20, it's impossible to get married and have kids. And I would agree with that person. And then the person standing next to them that is actually younger and has less hair that says, well, Nick, I can still get married and have kids. I bet I can make it work. I bet I can figure it out. To that person, I'd say, I agree. You're right. Because I'm convinced that everyone's right. I'm convinced that whatever you believe is what you believe. And it's not my place to tell anybody any different. You know, the old Nick Shell, the king of corporate, what would he have told you? He would have told you something like this: confidence always, you know, outweighs hair loss and all that. But I don't believe that anymore. I only believe it's true for people who believe it. And I think for people who don't believe it, I think it's definitely true for them. So what I'm here to say is, whatever you believe about hair loss is the truth. And what that means is, out of nearly 5,000 subscribers, there could be potentially 5,000 different viewpoints on hair loss. And they're all right because they're believed by that person inside this. Now remember, I am the head honcho of hair loss. And what that means is I'm not here to just talk about my new haircut or how much I'm thinning or whatever it is. I'm here to also look at the other side, which is what hardly anyone on the internet who talks about hair loss actually does. They just want to treat the outside or make you think they have some way to stop it, but they don't want to talk about what's going on inside of your head. And it was funny, as I was driving to work today, I was thinking about the concept of how, by default, the fact that I have a hair loss YouTube channel means that I also have a channel that addresses psychology, our own perceptions. Now, if you haven't heard me say this phrase yet, this will be the first time you've heard me say it. Here it is. Identity, protective cognition. I want you to Google that. Identity, protective cognition. Okay? This whole reboot is largely based around this concept. Here's what identity protective cognition means. If you have a belief that's so much a part of your core, your heart, your soul, anything anyone else says that goes against it is only going to backfire, and therefore whatever you already believed, you're going to become that much more confident in that belief that you already believed. So gone are the days where I'm trying to convince anyone that confidence is more important than hair loss. No way. For those people, it's totally not true. And the more I talk about it, the more they'll be convinced that hair matters that much more. So whatever you believe, I don't think I have the power to change your mind. I really don't. And I'm okay with that. Because as a confident person, my goal is not to change people's minds. And I think that one of the truest testaments of that, and I know this is kind of a different subject altogether, but hopefully all of you know, with me being a vegan, I'll talk about it, I'll address it, but when have I ever said, you should become a vegan like me, eating meat's wrong? No, I don't believe that. I do what's right for me, you do what's right for you, and I'm gonna keep living my life. And that's how I feel about running this channel with hair loss. I just believe that whatever you already believe is what you believe. And I'm just not interested in changing anyone's mind. There's no interest in that in me. I think it's actually more fascinating. I think it's more fascinating to let the free market go. And whoever's in the audience who believes things like you should worry your entire life about hair loss. I made a video about that recently, how asking the question, at what point should your hair loss not bother you? I mean, what if you kept your hair through your 40s and 50s, but then in your 60s, then you started going bald, and some of you admitted you're gonna worry your whole life about this. And you know what I would say to that? Then that's what you should do. If you wanna live a life in which the thought of hair loss dictates your life, you should live that life, because that's who you are. You should live your truth. As for people like me, you already know I've got my own plan, and that's to accept it and move on and think, hey, shaved heads are so trendy right now. They're hyper masculine. But see, that's my path. That's not everybody's path. I'm not asking anyone to follow my path, because what I just said was truth. And I think that some of you, when you heard it just then, felt attacked and thought, oh, he's trying to tell me what to do. No. I was telling you what I believe. But what I believe is simply it's only as real as long as I believe it. Just like your beliefs are only real as long as you believe them. I have no agenda to try to change anyone's mind. So let me basically close this video by the same way I opened it, and that is to say that whatever you believe about hair loss is true as long as that's what's in your mind.